All right, new formula, exponential growth. So we're still talking about that decay as well as growth over time. So this is just a different formula that we're going to be looking at. So y is the final amount. So if you're dealing with money, you're putting so much into a bank account, this will give you over time how much you're actually gaining. C, initial starting amount. So you put $100 into the account. The rate, the bank might say, well, I'm going to give you 5% on every dollar. And then T is time, years, months, and so forth. So just rate of change, what the R value means. A lot of times in your word problems, you're going to get a percentage. You have to change that percentage into a decimal. So to take 4%, you just take your number 4 and you move the decimal place over twice. So now you have that rate that you're going to insert into your formula as 0.04, 400ths. So if it says it's increased by the rate of 41%, it's 0.41. The question says increase at a rate of 1.2. Again, you're still moving it over twice, but now it's a smaller decimal. It's 12 thousandths. And then last but not least, you've got 0.8%. Again, moving that decimal place over twice, you'll get your answer. At this point, it's just something to kind of keep in mind as you're moving forward. Okay, so again, here is your formula. So for example, if your time is 10, your rate is 5%, always converting to a decimal, and your C is 1,000. Your goal is just to be able to plug those values into your formula and solve for that moment. This is where your calculator is going to become handy, just because there's a lot of math that would be time consuming, so a calculator is ideal. So that's just an example of how to plug in those values. You would then just use order of operations, add to the exponent, and then multiply lastly by 1,000. So let's look at a couple of examples. So you're always going to want to think about that formula that we just had up on the screen. And then we're going to read through. So in 1990, the population of Idaho was 1,606,749. Since then, that number has increased an average of 2.85% per year. So they want us to first write an equation. So our equation is just going to be y equals what our original population was times 1 plus, now we have to change that 2.85% into a decimal. That's 0.0285. And then T is time, and that's going to be years in this case. So now it says, according to the question, what was the population of Idaho in 2000? Well, what we need to do is if we say 2000, we're 10 years off, 10 years later. So we need to put a 10 in for that T. So then you have your answer there, and I'm just going to do a quick calculation of what that particular answer is. Always starting with the exponent, and then finally multiplying by the original amount. So your answer is going to be so you have a rough, it's basically about 330,000 more people when they first started.